everyone. So next week you'll be getting 2 or 3 videos. The one you are watching currently will be going up on August 9th because that will be the year anniversary of the day my life changed forever. And not for the good, for the worst. So here we go. A few months back in August of last year, August 9th, my mom had been experiencing a lot of mind issues, a lot of time and place issues, and a lot of just remembering issues. Like, you could tell her something, then 5 minutes later she'd be like, oh, did you just tell me this or did you not? She'd be very confused. So we made an appointment for her for like a week before that to go see a doctor. So she went to her doctor, and her doctor set up a CT scan. August 9th, my dad and her went in for the CT scan, and she ended up staying the night. So I do have the text from my dad right here. So I said, how's it going? This was at like noon or something, or 2 o'clock or something. This was at like noon. He's like, okay, but something showed up on scan and we are waiting to see the doctor at the hospital. I'm like, okay, tell mom I wish her good luck and I love her. I got the mail so you don't have to. I hate, this is one thing, if you know me very, very well, I do not like to leave my house when I'm home alone. It's just, I'm the daughter of a worrier. Like, something is wrong with me, I swear. I'm like, he's like, thanks, I will call you when we are done. It might be a while. Mom liked your message, Dad. I'm like, I got my schedule for next week. I only work Thursday, Friday, 10, blah, blah, blah. Okay, and then I texted him at like 2 or 3 o'clock. And I said, how's it going? He said, no emergency, but the doctor wants mom to stay in the hospital and have more tests and some medicine. I will stay here while she gets a room before I come home. This is a good idea. Don't worry, Dad. I said, okay, tell her I love her. And then I said my friend was going to pick me up after she gets done with the special needs kid that she watches. I don't know what time that is, so if not, home when you get home, that's who I'm with. He's like, okay, this is when I knew something was wrong. He's like, okay, what time are you leaving? When do you expect to be back? I'll be home, but we'll go back to hospital to see mom and bring her some things later. That's when I knew something was wrong, because he never asks me that. He just says, oh, what time do you plan on being home? He usually just says, okay, have fun, just let me know if you need a ride. That's usually what he says, and this time he said all that. I was like, something's wrong. So ironically, my friend just came over, we ended up talking, and just all that stuff. So, and then he said, okay, they're just here taking blood and then doing an EKG, except he typed an ELF because of autocorrect, so that did not work. So then the next test was, oh, is she coming home? I'm like, no. He's like, no, she is staying in a room. It's a good idea. And then he came home and alerted me. He came home like 7. I ordered Craigville and everything. I ordered him food because he hadn't eaten since the morning. He hadn't eaten at the hospital or anything, so I had ordered food for both of us. He comes home and tells me at like 7 p.m., your mom has a brain tumor on the right side of her brain that's 5 by 5 centimeters. Instant shock. I was like, this what? So then we visited her the next day. She's alert. She's fine. She's alert. She knows what's going on. She knows she has a tumor. Like, she knows what's going on. She wants to get up, but she's a fall risk because she was up for so long the day before. She was very tired, so she has the fall risk thing on. So she can't even get up out of her chair without an alarm going off, which they disabled while we were there because we would watch her. So then I go to work. I don't tell anyone what's going on until I get a call. I tell Dad if anything happens to call the store. He called the store. After I received this text, you couldn't have your phone on you where I worked last. You had to leave it in a drawer. So I didn't see this text until after I clocked out. So then he said, Mom is going to go home tonight and we will bring her back for 7:30 surgery on Monday. It was supposed to be brain surgery on Monday. I don't know yet when we can leave tonight. I will message you when we know. And then he texted me at 7:56. We are leaving the hospital. Alright, okay, so then the surgery was set for August 14th, I think, because August 12th was a Saturday, I think. I don't know. I can't go back that far mentally. But I went to my friend's house for a bonfire And then the same day was also a baby shower that my mom and I were supposed to go to, but I texted her saying something had come up and we couldn't attend. The following day, we went over to the house. It's literally my next door neighbor's house, like literally just across the street from me. And we basically told her parents that there was a tumor and she's having surgery the following day, except that night, or the following night, we'd canceled the surgery because my mom had had cancer twice in the past. So she had an oncologist in Boston she wanted to talk to. So whatever, we're talking to the oncologist. 3 weeks later, we end up going to Boston on August 28th for an appointment. August 28th comes around, we go up on bus. By bus, my dad hates driving to Boston, same with my mom. I just want to make sure it's not him, because I don't want to hear him talk. I don't want him to hear him know I'm talking about this with the camera currently. So August 20th rolls around, we go to Boston. My mom, they take her. We were going to go with her because she wasn't right. So they take her back home, do all the things, and then she talks to the doctor without my dad or I in the room. That was uneasy for me, 1. 2, we were like, okay. The appointment wasn't that long anyways. I think the doctor was like, she needs the surgery fast. So her nurse comes out. The nurse who's going to be taking care of us comes out and says, we will call you later tonight with an appointment to do a functional MRI and just some more tests. I'm like, okay, that won't be until like next week. Everything's been going week by week, so we're just gonna... Okay. So we come home. I'm now lying in bed because I have a raging migraine, because I don't eat a ton or drink a ton when we're going to Boston because I get raging headaches if I have to pee a lot, and then I don't like peeing on the buses, so I just say F it. I don't eat or drink a ton when I go to Boston, so I had a raging migraine, so I was like, I'm going to bed. It was like 6 p.m. I'm going to bed. Around, I'm gonna go like 8 or 8:30, my dad wakes me up and says, hey, tomorrow we are going to Boston. Your mom's surgery is Thursday. I said, I'm thinking to myself, shit just got real. So Tuesday morning, the mall opens at 10, so I called at like 10:30 and I called out of work for the week. They were able to give me sick hours for 12 hours of my 15 hours I had that week. They were able to give me sick time for. Thank you, God, for Route 21 at that point. Thank you. Tuesday, we get a car to take us up at 12:30. We go to the hotel, which was across from TD Gardens. That was the only plus side. We eat, we go to CVS, we get like bobby pins, stuff that we forgot because we were in such a rush. Then we go back to the hotel and go to bed. Wednesday we wake up, get a cab to Brigham and Women's Hospital at 8:30 in the morning. We do pre-op till 4:30. Go eat dinner, and then we had to be back. She couldn't eat after midnight, so we had to be back early. So next morning, the day of her surgery, we wake up at like 3:30 in the morning. We get a cab at like 4 or like 5. Get to the hospital at like 5:36. They call her. We go with her to. We can go with her to like where they do the test and they hook you up and they tell you what's going on. We go there. They said her surgery was scheduled for like 7 or 7:30. She ended up going, and we went to like the family waiting room, and they had someone like circulating the room, just basically alerting families of what time their loved ones went in for surgery. And I can't sit down for long enough. Like, just for me doing this video, I can't do this. Like, I'm actually like shaking right now. Like, I have ADHD. I can't sit in one place and talk for so long. I can't sit and wait for things. Like, I have to be moving. So I just walk around. I go to the cafe. I get something to eat. I just walk around the hospital. I go to the gift shop. I just wander at this point. I'm just like, I can't sit. Apparently the person went up to my dad and said, your wife went in for surgery at 8:40. So about an hour and 40 minutes or an hour and 10 minutes after it was scheduled. It's about a 4 or 5 hour surgery, so we didn't know anything until around like noon, 1 o'clock-ish. Maybe it was 2, I don't know. I think it was around 1-ish we found something out. At 1, the surgeon came in and asked to speak with us. So we went with her, and she said early pathology, just looking at the tumor, it looked like cancer. Obviously they don't know anything until they do tests, but she said just be prepared, it's probably cancer, which we kind of figured out. She said she wouldn't need chemo, she would need radiation just on that part of her brain, and we're like, okay, that's a little better. That's not better, but it's there. She said it's going to be a while before you can see her. She's going to be in the intensive care unit. We're like, okay, that was a given. She did not mention that there was brain bleeding. Probably because she didn't know if it would cause any side effects. I don't know. But, we go up about an hour later, the intensive care unit, and she is out like a light. She's not moving, she's not waking, she's not anything. My foot is falling asleep. I'm just gonna move this out really quick. My foot is falling asleep. Okay, there we go. My right foot was falling asleep. So then we, by the way, you might want to turn your volume up on this video because I'm talking very quietly because I don't want my dad to hear me. So the doctors are trying to wake her up and they're like screaming at her. Like, she's not gonna wake up to screaming, I can tell you that. But obviously I didn't say anything. I was like, this is what they have to do. But anyway, the nurses in the intensive care unit were super sweet. We went back to the hotel, grabbed a dinner, went back to the hotel, called it a night, went to bed, woke up the next day, went to the hospital. Didn't wake up then. It was very nerve-wracking. Didn't wake up, and then finally she woke up. Except it wasn't what we thought it would be. We thought she'd wake up and she'd be fine, she could talk, she could move, everything would be fine. And that was us being very, very, very naive. She couldn't move the left side of her body. She could not speak. She could barely speak. She could say, like, bring a woman's Donald Trump. And the date. That's about it. We're like, something's wrong. And then that Saturday rolls around. My dad and I had to take a car ride home. So we take a car home. And then we go up. I don't think we went up Sunday. I think we skipped Sunday. We went up Monday. At this point, she was in a neuro-intensive care unit. We go up. We see her start trembling. We don't know if it was a seizure. But once I said practice your deep breathing, because she was very into mindfulness and everything before everything went downhill. She was very into deep breathing and mindfulness, so I said practice your deep breathing. The second I said that, she stopped trembling. The second I said it. I was like, damn. I should be a doctor. No, I'm just kidding. But we alerted the nurse that she was trembling, and she called in 2 other doctors to look at her. I said she was trembling, but once I said practice your deep breathing, she stopped. He said maybe that was her. Maybe that was her brain being like, breathe. I don't know. But whatever. And then I think it was I had to start school that week. So the following day I started school. That day I called the hospital before class or during class or something. I called and I told the teacher, I'm like, hey, my mom's in a hospital in Boston. I just need to call really quick because they just called me. She said, yeah, that's fine, even though I called them instead. I lied to my teacher. Oops, I'm sorry. So I go call, and she's like, yes, your mom is being moved to a regular room. So then we come and visit her. And Wednesday, he goes up to visit her. Thursday, he goes up to visit her. Friday, I stay here because I have to work. And Saturday, we go up, and we find out she's coming back to the Cape to go to Spalding. We're like, great. So they bring her down. She calls us from the room and says, hey, I'm here. Well, the nurse does. She just says something. I don't know what she said. She called my dad. So we go up. We go spend days at Spalding. And then she goes up for the pathology. So now September 20th comes around. That was the day of Tropical Storm Jose and my best friend's 21st birthday. That's the only day I remember. That's the only reason I remember it, is because it was my best friend's 21st birthday. And we also had a tropical storm at the time, so that's another reason why I can remember it. Because then the following day was just hell. The next day was just hell. I'll explain that in another video. But they go to find out the results of the pathology. I get a call from my dad at 1:30, and it's cancer. I cry, obviously. I call my friend. I said, hey, this is what's going on. She's like, oh, do you want to come over and hang out for my birthday? My other friend's coming over. You can come hang out with us. I said, yes, just don't tell your mother. I want to be the one to tell her. And she said, of course. And then she ended up telling her mom. And then I'd tell her when I got there. And then her little sister found out, and it was just not how I wanted it to go. But anyways, I just hung out with them for the night, and then my dad came to pick me up, and then whatever. And then about a week later, she went back up on med transport to do they do like a mask of the brain to figure out where they're going to do the radiation, and apparently she fell asleep during it, and it took them a very, very long time to wake her up. So they decided to keep her overnight, which my dad was up there. He did the medical transport up. By the time they decided to keep her, it was too late for him to get a bus back home, nor was he going to get a cab at 11:30 at night in Boston. So I was home by myself. Pause. I have texts. He said at 10 something, or like 9 something, or I was at work I think, or like 5 something. He said, we will be staying over. Since she is a patient of blank, it may be at Dana-Farber. I will contact you when we finally land. Dad. I said, alright, I'll keep you up to date over here, blah, blah, blah. He's like, good, Dad, blah, blah, blah. I get home, I'm like, okay, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. I walk through the door, I put the alarm on, whatever. Get to my kitchen, I immediately have a panic attack. Immediately. I call my friend's mom, and I said, I can't do this. Her stepdad comes and grabs me at 10:30 at night and drives me to her house, and I stay there for the night. So, whatever. He gets a cab home, we pick him up at the bus station, we bring him to Spalding, so we can get his car, and then we drive home. Then we just visit her up in Boston for the next few days, and then she starts her tests, and then we decide to send her to Chestnut Hill Spalding. She's not even there for a full 24 hours, and they send her back because she wasn't drinking or eating pills, or taking her pills. Mind you, she couldn't swallow pills beforehand. So that was nothing new, but they didn't know that. So they sent her back to the ER, where she had to be all by herself, which we weren't even there. We couldn't get there. So that was a little nerve-wracking. Next day we went up, and she didn't have her glasses, she didn't have any magazines, like she had nothing. So we go up to Chestnut Hill the following day, and we go grab her stuff and everything. And the following day we go up, we bring her glasses and our magazines, and we just bring up everything. They finish her testing there, and then they move her to a place in Sandwich called Cape Heritage, where she basically remained until she went home. But during her stay there on November 9th, they went up to see if the radiation worked. So I get a text while I'm at school. I'm texting my parents while at school because, you know, my teacher knew what was going on and everything. So he said, MRI is done, we are waiting for the doctor. I said, okay, thanks. He's like, I will let you know when we are leaving. Okay. At this point I was taking cabs. So it wasn't the end of the world, but it was also like the end of the world. He's like, we are on our way back to the Cape. Dad, I'm like, MRI was good. He was like, MRI result was good. I'm like, are we in the clear? He's like, yes, but they will monitor, and a few more scans can be done at Cape Cod Hospital, and they're supposed to be sent to Boston. I was like, thank you, God. I was like, thank you. I was saying that in class. I almost bursted out into tears. Like, it was amazing to hear. So, whatever. Then we find out from the insurance company that they're going to cover her until the last day that she's going to be there. We didn't have to, I think we only had to cover like 1 day of her stay at Cape Heritage. I think we only had to cover 1 day, which was amazing. Because they were supposed to cover up until November 9th, and her appointment did get pushed back, so we weren't going to be able to cover they weren't going to cover the med transport. However, they pushed it back. They pushed it forward so they covered the med transport and every other thing. We only had to pay for like 1 day. So, oh, thank you, Blue Cross. I love you. So then she comes home. We're working with her. December 19th. I need to look at my phone for this part. I'm just looking at the text I received. This is part of the video. But December 19th, I'm in a final. I'm in my psych final. I walk out. I'm with my friend. We're walking to the science building because we both had a English Comp 1 final, so we were both just like waiting around for it. She's like, oh, I might go somewhere. Do you want to come? And I said, yeah, and I was going to go, but we were just chilling there for a little bit just to see what we wanted to do. And I get a text from my dad saying, Mom had a fall. She's on her way to the hospital. I freak out and I call him. I run out of the science building. I'm like on the phone with my dad. I'm like, what's going on? He's like, the EMTs are here. One of them is our neighbor. I was like, great. He's like, she fell when I was trying to get out of bed and everything. And I was like, oh, God. He's like, she's fine and everything. And then I hung up. I got a cab home because we had Peapod, which is a partner of Stop and Shop, which is where I work at the time, and I still work there today. We had them coming at like 12, and I had to be there, and I had a final at 12:30, and I was like, shit. I was like, fuck. So I call my friend's mom, like, hey, can you pick me up and just drop me off at home? I need to wait for this order. Just absolutely, she comes to get me, drops me off at home. I wait for the order, then I call a cab and go back to school for my final. My friend's like, hey, we're going to Wareham later, you want to come? I said, of course. So I go to Wareham with my 4 friends later that night. It was like 3 o'clock. I got home, I took my final. I got a D- in the class because I stopped caring. I honestly don't know how I passed that semester. I really freaking don't know. I got an A and a B- and a D- that semester. I don't know how the hell I passed, but I did. So now we're up to later that night. They came home. Thankfully, they came home. And I go out with my friends, have a good time, come home. Christmas comes around. We have very low down Christmas. We really didn't get each other gifts that year. Last year, I got a Kyrie Irving shirt. I bought a puppy for each of my family members. Not a real puppy, like a stuffed puppy from Stop and Shop. It was a Valentine's Day puppy. I bought one for my mom, one for me, and one for my dad. And that's about all I could do because I couldn't get them all because I just kept having issues with people and it was just awful. So now it comes around like December 27th, December 28th area. She's not acting like herself. She's very weird. She's very not herself. She's not talking. She's not moving. She's not talking. She's just going like this. Every 5 seconds, and then when you try to give her coffee, she almost would go into it, and it just freaked my dad out. And I was like, "Oh, Mom, let me get the knots out of your hair." He's like, "No, don't do anything. I'm calling an ambulance. I'm taking her to the hospital." I said, "Okay." Whoa! I wake up to this. So I'm kind of like freaking out a little bit, and so I'm trying to think right now. I'm really trying to think. So, I'm saying so and we a lot. I have to think back a year. Okay. So, I call out of work. We follow behind in a car to go to the hospital. We stay at the ER. We're at the ER for like 6 hours. It's from like 11:30 to like 4:30. 11:30, 12:30, 1:30, 2:30, 3:30. Okay, so 5 hours. Apparently I forgot how to count. 5 hours at the ER. Then we go to, at this point she's now talking. She is kind of alert. My dad still kind of has to talk for her. The nurses aren't really letting my dad speak, but then again my mom can't speak, so he kind of has to do it for her. So they're giving him attitude, and I'm just like, can you just help my fucking mom, please? Finally, a nurse that I like, or that is very nice to her, comes in and says, hey Vicky, we need to get blood tests done. Mind you, she hates needles, so I had to hold her down, which I felt so bad about. I had to hold her down, and I was like, Mom, calm down, they're just trying to get blood. They got 1 vial done. Thank the Lord, they got 1 done with me holding her down. Finally, my dad did it, and they got the blood, and we were good. Okay, then they take her to a room. I go with them, and then my friend's mom picks me up at like 6 p.m. I go to their house for dinner, whatever. We leave, we come home, we go back in the morning, and we get there, and they're like, she had a stroke on the opposite side of her brain. Which then, so it would have been the left side. She had 2 strokes. One was on the right side, which was the brain that the surgery on screen looks like my left, but I'm pointing to my right side. The stroke was on her right side. The first one, which would take out the left, which was her dominant side, and the second stroke was on the left, which took out her right side. And the stroke took place 2 to 4 weeks prior to that. So it was around the time we would have brought her home. So I don't know how we didn't notice it. I really don't know. It was around the same time we would have brought her home. So it was very disturbing to hear. I'm like, is there anything we could have done to prevent it? We've been very careful with her. He's like, there's nothing you could have done to prevent it. It's just how her brain is. I'm like, great. And then she also had a UTI, so that would bring on the confusion, the dizziness. We're like, okay, that makes sense. And when we come back that day, she's talking, she's fine, she's moving. Like, well, not moving, but she's moving her right side a little bit. Like, she's there. She's conscious, she's alert, she's talking. She's like, hi, and that's about all we got, but she acknowledged us. So that's Saturday. I go into work, it's a snowstorm. My friend is picking me up that night to go stay at a hotel, because we were doing 2 nights at a hotel for New Year's Eve. So she picks me up at work, we pick up our other friend, and we go to the hotel, blah, blah, blah. We wake up the next day, I text my dad, I'm like, hey, or call my dad, I'm like, hey, we are going to the gym, we're gonna get breakfast, and then at this point, my friend wanted to see my mom, and I was like, okay, we can go to the hospital on our way. I get a text at 9:44 a.m., which is around the same time I called my dad. I got a call from the hospital a little after 5 a.m. Mom has had a seizure. They are keeping her in her room, and she had a CT scan. I have a call in to the doctor. I spoke to blank the nurse, and Mom is resting, but not as alert as yesterday. I am waiting for the doctor's call before going to see Mom. Then he gave me the hospital's number, and I'm like calling all my friends. I'm calling my tutor. I'm like, hey, this is what happened. This is what's going on. And then we're actually planning on going, and at 12:35 p.m. I get a text saying Mom has been moved to the 3rd floor cardiovascular intensive care unit, room 17, which is where I am. I'm like, okay, I'll be there soon. We show up about an hour later, and I just wait there. I'm just there with my dad for an hour. She's not even conscious. We're just watching sports or something, and then my friends are downstairs in the cafe eating, and I'm just like, I'm here. I'm bawling my eyes out, like. So then we go back to the hotel. My friends are trying to get my mind off it. We watch like Descendants 1 and 2 on Disney Channel because we had nothing better to do. But I've now fallen in love with the movie. So now I was watching Descendants 1 actually last night when I came home from work. So, the following day we go to the hospital. We visit Mom. We're there for like 2 or 3 hours. I'm just playing Pokemon Go. I'm just there playing Pokemon Go and waiting for her to wake up and talk to a psychologist. She woke her eyes once. Didn't say much. She woke up, saw us, did and then fell back asleep. We leave around 3. Around 2 hours later, we get a call from the cardiovascular intensive care unit nurse, and he says, your wife has had another seizure. So we had 2 seizures in 36 hours. At this point, I'm not freaking out. So they keep her in the cardiovascular intensive care unit for a couple days, and then they bring her to a normal room, which she stays for about 2 weeks. In those 2 weeks, we find out she has 6 months to live. We're like, okay, she'll make it through my 21st birthday, her anniversary, her birthday, and my dad's birthday. And family day. We're good. Everything is golden. I'm like, okay, as long as she makes it through all that, we're fine. Like, that is all. Literally, I was thinking, okay, she's gonna make it through her anniversary, she's gonna make it through her birthday, we're gonna be fine. We're gonna be good. Boy, was I wrong. On January 31st, I'm upstairs. Well, they bring her home. She's under hospice care. January 31st comes around, and she has a seizure downstairs. I'm literally the room above them, so I don't know how I didn't notice it. And my dad was sleeping on a bed beside them, but the nurse was here. Luckily, the nurse was here. Thank God the nurse was here. The nurse was here, was able to stop it and everything. We were good. We just kept an eye on her. Her friend came down, which was my mom, my best friend's mom, also came down. She's like my second mom. Shout out to you. She came over, just visited her. We said she wasn't conscious. I don't even think we told her she had a seizure that day. My dad takes me out of the room after she leaves and says, your mom has 2 weeks left to live. At that point, it really hits me that she's going. So I go into work that night. Well, I don't work. I just go in to talk to my boss before he leaves. I said, yeah, he was a 6. My dad gave me cat money and said, go talk to him. I said, okay. So I went in and talked to him. I said, hey, can I just work like 2 days a week the next couple weeks? I said, the nurse alerted my dad that she has 2 weeks to live. And he was trying to reassure me that one of our other workers, our morning workers, had a hospice in it to them, and their mom's been living for 5 years. So I said, maybe that'll be the case. Hopefully that's the case. But anyways, I did some shopping and then I went home. Wake up the next day, my tutor's coming to visit her, and then it turns out that my tutor and the nurse and us. And then the next day is February 1st. She comes to see her, and then around 2:30 I'm getting ready to go to work. My dad calls hospice saying that she stopped breathing. I'm heading down to work. I'm like, hey, I've already called my cab and everything. I've called my cab and literally everything, and my dad says, I'm calling hospice, your mom has stopped breathing. I'm like, here it is. The nurse comes at 2:48, she's pronounced dead.
On August 1st, it'll be 6 months without my mom. I just wanted to make this video for anyone who may be going through something like this. That there are lots of people who do survive brain cancer, who make it through, who can survive. My mom survived cancer twice beforehand, and it was breast cancer both times. She survived both times. You can make it through anything if you try, and you're with your loved ones, you can do it. Okay. I'll insert pictures of my mom after this, after I'm done crying and ranting. But, yeah, I'll leave links to cancer websites down below so you guys can, so if you have a loved one possibly going through symptoms of this, you know that you should tell them to go get it checked out. If you notice anything wrong, go get it checked out, because it could be something more than you think. We just thought it was a reaction to anesthesia, and it ended up being a 5 by 5 centimeter tumor on the right side of her brain. So yeah, I hope you guys learned something from this video. I just needed to make it because I just needed to. It was needed. But yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. That'll obviously be a lot nicer than this. But, alright, bye guys.